Hello, and welcome back to Harriet's Custom Computer Art Plus. I love making decorative displays and decorative boxes using foam core boards, and so I thought I would show you today some of the decorative displays I've made for candies and chips, and these are decorative, or these are made to look like giant CDs, and they're gift card boxes for Prince themed parties, but you can, if you like, you can make them for any occasion. Here's the picture of the one opened after it was completed, and then this one I was working on that Prince giant CD. But these are just some of the different displays and items that I've made using foam core board. These decorative boxes. I'm going to be making a version of a decorative box today. My niece is getting married, and she asked me to make some engagement, not engagement, proposal boxes to give to the bridesmaids and the groomsmen and maid of honor. So I'm going to be making one of those to show you how to make decorative boxes, and it's going to be based on the same principle of making this open box and this lined box. It's going to be a lined box with a top, and all of these are made with just foam core and designs that I've just made on using Picture It, and just printed in the colors of the items that I'm making. I print the papers that I cover the foam core boxes and displays with. This was a display for parfaits for a baby shower, and all of these things are made using foam core. These boxes, this is a cupcake stand that I made for a Prince party, and this whole guitar is made from foam core board, including the stand was also made from foam core board, and the only thing that's plastic on it are the trays that will hold the cupcakes. So all of these things were made using foam core board. And let's get started with the decorative box. I'll show you the box that I'm going to be making, or this is the example that I made for my niece for engagement boxes. This was my mock-up for her. Let me zoom in. And now I guess she's gonna change her colors, but since she hasn't made the final decision yet, then I know she's interested in filigree, so I'm going to design something using a filigree pattern. But these are the mock-ups that I made. So let's get started on that. I'm going to go to a blank sheet, and I was looking for filigree patterns. Switch to this one. I was looking for filigree patterns, and I really like this one, but the sample that they gave to make this design, filigree design, it was low resolution, so when I cut it out it didn't look very clear. So I found this one online, and I'm just going to use this to make the section of the filigree that I want for the box design. And I'm going to make this as an overlay over the box. I'm still kind of designing it in my head. I have kind of an idea of what I want to do, and so I will get started with this overlay to begin with. So I'm going to bring up that picture that I cut out just now to a totally new page. I'm going to enlarge that section to the whole page, and then I'm just going to cut out this portion that I want to keep. So I'm going to go to cut out in picture, cut out of picture with the cookie cutter, not a cookie cutter shape. I'm going to do this by color selection, And I'm going to leave this on 2 for now and see if it will just pick up all of the white area, and it did. So I'm going to hit next and done. And I'm going to delete that bottom layer. Now this is the filigree design I want to use. I want to stretch it out more so that it will be less of a smashed heart. And now I'm going to change this to black because this is just going to be a cutout that I'm going to make on the Cricut once I'm done designing the rest of the box. So I'm going to go to Paint and Color Effects, and I'm going to make it black for now because I want to square the rest of this on out. So I'm going to go to Size and Position, Alignment Guides, and I'm going to choose 2 horizontal guides. I click twice to make 2 even though they're on top of each other. You'll see it when I move it. So I'm going to put this because I want to square out this graphic or this filigree pattern. So I'm going to put this on the corners, not the corners, on the edges of this design because I want to fill this in so that it's a complete, like completely filling up the page. So I'm going to go to Cutout and Picture, I'm going to go to Cutout and Picture, but I'm going to choose Add a Colored Shape, and I'm going to change that shape to black. I'm going to put it right here at the widest point of this design, which is about right there. I'm going to slide it up right there, and now I'm going to shrink this down. I'll go ahead and pull it to the end of the page. I don't want it that far out. I'll bring it in a little bit, and I'm going to take this up until it's not showing inside of this circle, and I'm going to copy that line that I just put there, copy and paste, and I'm going to drag this one down here and do the exact same thing. If I can choose it, there we go. And I'm going to bring it down until it's at the widest point, and that looks good. I'm going to go ahead and take this, I'll go ahead and take it out to the full page because I want these to be the same length. Now I'm going to take go to Cutout and Picture again, Add a Colored Shape. I'm going to go to black, and I'm going to bring this down here. So I'm probably going to duplicate this a couple more times. Copy and paste. I'll go ahead and make my 2 now. I'm going to move this one out the way for now, and I'm going to bring this one over so I can cover up that space right there. And now I'm just going to get my last shape and bring it down to fill in the rest. So now I have the full sheet that I want. This part is going to stay solid, and this part is going to be the cutout that I overlay over the box. So I'm going to go to Cutout and Picture, Cutout of Picture. I'm going to make it a perfect square. I'm going to go here. Actually, I want it to be like half of the box, so I'm going to make it half of a perfect square, or just have a portion of the overlay. And so this was a better choice. So I'm going to go ahead and choose Next and Done. And then I can get rid of everything except the top. So all I did, because it was so many pieces, I didn't want to delete each one at a time. I first chose everything, and then I held Control, the CTRL key on the keyboard, and just clicked the top that I just cut out because that's the only piece I want to keep. And now I'm going to go ahead and choose Cut, and it'll cut all the rest of that and just leave the top piece that I want on the page. Okay, so now I'm going to, it seems like my niece was talking about red or like a burgundy. So I like the shiny pattern, so I think I'm gonna want to mimic that in this cutout. So I'm gonna go to um, uh, I think I will make a shape first so that I can resize it how I want. So I'm going to make a blank page. I'm going to bring up cut out in picture, add a colored shape, hit done. I'm going to go to paint and color effects, fill with the gradient. Going to go down and I'll choose the silver because I want to change the color to like a burgundy red, just so that I can give her an example of how it would look if she chooses that color. And then I'm gonna go here and choose this pattern to make it look metallic in the like a sunburst pattern. And now I'm going to change this to a burgundy that I think is pretty and see if it will appeal to her. If not, I will go back to the drawing board. So I'm going to go ahead and go to touch up. I'm going to go to correct tint, which is the third choice. And then this is already in red, so I'm just going to pull it enough to the side so that I get a little color on here. And then I'm going to finish making this into the color I want in paint and color effects. So you use tint so that you can begin to set up the color you want to use, and then go into paint and color effects to fine tune that color. So I want to increase the saturation, and I want to darken the color because I want to make this like a burgundy, a rich looking burgundy. So I'm going to keep pulling this down, making it darker, and now I'm going to increase the saturation and give it more color, and then I can fine tune it here to get it to a wine color by pulling it toward blue, or I can make it more red by pulling it toward the yellow and orange, but I want it to be a wine color. So I need to darken this some more, and then I'll increase the saturation again, and I just play around with it until I get to a color that I like. I need to add some more blue, not that much. I want to make it, I need to darken it some so I can get the hit done here. Then I'm going to go to touch up. If you can't get it as dark as you want it or as bright as you want it, always after that close out paint and color effect and go to touch up, brightness and contrast, and then you can make it darker in there even more than you could in the original paint and color effects. So I kind of like that color. Darken it a little more, and I might change the tint a little bit. Let me see. I think I'm going to go to fine tuning here, and oop, that's too much. I don't want it that whiny. Okay, I'll stick with this color. I'm going to go ahead and hit done. And now I'm going to go back to my black pattern, and I'm going to see how it looks filled with this gradient. So I'm going to go to cut out and picture, fill, cut out or picture, which is the fifth choice, the middle one at the bottom. And then I'm going to click on the apple, which is picture, and I'm going to drag this up. And I kind of like that effect. I think that looks pretty good. Yeah, that doesn't look bad. I can move it around if I want to change the effect. I can stretch it out some, and I'm just eyeballing to see one that whatever appeals to me the most. I'm going to drag this out a little more. I'm trying to decide whether I want that there or whether I want it, I think I want it there. Alright, so now this is going to be the overlay over the box, and I'm going to use, I'll see. I'm going to make a mock-up of the top to see what design, how I want to set it up. So I'm going to make a new blank sheet. I'm going to drag up this part of the box that I just made, and I'm going to rotate it. Go to size and position, rotate, and I chose the one that is here at the bottom, which says right. It supposedly rotated right. And now I'm going to bring it down and I'm going to increase it. And now I'm going to go to cutout in picture, add a colored shape. I'm going to change it to, I'll just change it to black for now. Or yeah, I'll make it a little lighter so I can see it. And I'm just going to sit it behind here, and then I'm going to make it a complete square. So this would be the top of the box, and I'm debating on whether I should add rings again or just go with the font. So let me try that and see what I like. First I'm going to see how I like this as a metallic look. So I'm going to go to paint and color effects, back to fill with the gradient. This time I'm going to go with the silver, and I'm going to choose, I think I'll go with, let's see, I think I'll make a custom gradient. So I'm going to go to the top. Let me go show you that. Right here is custom two-tone gradient, so I'm going to click there, and then I'm going to make one a darker gray and one a lighter gray and see how that works. Actually, I think I should make it black and then gray and see what that looks like. If I don't like it, of course I will change it. So I'm going to make it black and gray because I want to give it a metallic look to the top. That's a little darker than I want it, so I'm going to brighten this one up a little bit by clicking up on the brightness. And I don't really like that. Let me try turning it on the side, see if I like that. Size and position, go to rotate, which is the third choice. I'm going to hit left and done. Okay, I don't like that. So I'm going to see if I like it in this pattern. So I'm going to go back to paint and color effect, fill with the gradient. I'm going to go ahead and choose the silver, and then I'm going to choose the same pattern that I chose before. And I kind of like that one. So I'm going to make this a complete square. I'm trying to see if there's a way to add a ring into it. So let's see. I could possibly put it here. I am going to need to cut this part down some because I need it to be just half of the box. So I have room to put, will you be my groomsman or will you be my bridesmaid? So I'm just going to make sure this lines up with the silver, so when I trim it I won't be losing any of my filigree portion. I want to put a slight shadow around this portion so it will kind of look like it's raised up off of the silver portion. So I'm going to go to special effects, shadow, which is the second choice at the top. I'm going to try the soft shadow first and see what I think of that. It's kind of faint. I'm going to push in a little bit to make it show up a little more. Push in from the corners, and as you can see, it brings it into the design a little more. And I like that, but I think I want it to be a little darker, so I'm going to just in order to make that shadow darker, I'm going to go to cut out in picture. This is something that I learned just by playing around with it and notice this happen. And I'm just going to put this where when I change the layer, it will be underneath this burgundy section. So I'm going to hit done. I'm going to click here on the right hand column where the layers are, and I'm going to drag it underneath the burgundy, and you can see the outline is still here. Now I'm going to hold my control key and click the burgundy, and I'm going to group those. So now that I group that, when I go into shadow, it won't reset this shadow. If I left it ungrouped, when I click on shadow, it would delete this one and wait for me to make a new shadow. But by me joining that with that little cube, that with the little box that I put under there, now I can add a darkness to, or a darker, it'll bring this down to a darker shade when I go in and add a shadow. And you can keep adding those shapes and hitting the control and grouping them until you get it to the darkness that you want. So I'm going to go once again to, where am I going? To special effect shadow, which is the second choice, and I'm going to just hit that soft shadow again, and you see it made it darker, but it makes it look a little fuzzy, so I want to sharpen that one a little bit. So I'm going to, let me show you what I did. I'm going to click on customize the shadow, and this is edge softness or hardness. If you go toward the right, it will soften it. If you go toward the left, it will harden it. And so I want it a little harder, so I'm going to click on the down arrow, and as I click on the down arrow, it's going to make that second shadow appear harder, which is what I want, so that it actually looks like these are two layers. Instead, I'm going to be printing them on one page, but by doing it like this, it looks like it's on separate pieces of paper with the shadow there. So now I'm going to zoom back out, and now that I have that shadow in there that I want, I'm going to go ahead and cut out with a cookie cutter shape. I'm going to choose the square, which it's already in the square, and I'm going to keep those proportions of the square by just putting it on top of the, lining it up with the top edge and the side. So I'm just making sure that pink line is going down across the top and down the side. I need to move this over a little bit because it was cutting off part of the design. So now I'm going to bring this in a little bit. Right there. And now I'm going to bring this over to the line as well, to the side. And the bottom is already aligned correctly. So I'm going to go ahead and hit next and done. And I'm going to delete that layer. I'm going to delete that second layer with the burgundy, and now I have my square, which is going to be the top of my proposal box. If I bring that up, you'll see it will fit right in the top of, it'll be my new top of the proposal box with the new design. Alright, so now I need to add the will you be my bridesmaid or will you be my groomsman. I'm going to start with the text. I'm going to go to text, add text. I'm going to change it to a different font. I like using Artisan, Amazon, Edwardian. Those are the fancier texts. And I'm going to change this to white for starters. And I'm going to type in, will you be my groomsman? Shrink it down a bit. I could actually put it here, and then I could put Tiana and Steven up here. So I'll see where I like it the best. Will you be my, and then I'm going to put groomsmen in a separate text box because picture it has a tendency to make the spaces between the lines too far apart. So I'm just going to copy that and paste it, and then once it's chosen, I'm going to right click and choose edit text, and then I'm going to type groomsmen. And I'll make a separate one for the best man and the maid of honor or matron of honor, and then one for the bridesmaid. So I'm going to go ahead and click done, and I'm just going to increase the size of groomsmen, and I will go ahead and put a question mark there and see if I like how that looks. If not, I'll take it off. That works. So here at the top, I'm going to put add text, Tiana and Stephen. Or vice versa. But I'm going to put Tiana and Stephen, and then I'm going to put a fictitious date because I've forgotten the date. So I know it's in May, so I'll just make a fictitious date. Go ahead and add another text box. Click on text, add text. And this I'm going to shrink down some to put the date. I'm going to put May, I don't know the date, I'll just put May 26th, 2021. I'm going to click done. Now you can see these are kind of blending in with the background, and we have two choices. We could go with a white shape that we put underneath the text. Actually, this will be way too big when it's actually on the box, so I can shrink this down, both of them actually. So I'll shrink both of these down. And I think I do want to add a ring on here. I actually like the original box I made, but I'm just giving her some more options that she can choose to go with, because I know she liked the filigree pattern. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and bring this down some because I'm going to see if there's a way to sneak a ring in here. Okay. Okay, I zoomed in because I want to put a shadow behind the Tiana and Stephen. I might put a shadow behind this one as well if it might make it stand out a little more, but for starters I'm going to put it up here so that this white lettering doesn't get lost in the light grays. So I'm going to click on it to choose. First I group them both, so I just drug from the top left to the bottom right, then click the puzzle piece to close it out or to completely group it. Then I'm going to go to special effect, shadow, which is the second choice. I'm going to go to soft, and then I'm going to just pull it down a little bit, and you see how it makes it pop off of that background. So I'm going to go ahead and hit done, and I think that looks really good. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing with Will You Be My Groomsman. I have it joined already, so I'm just going to go to special effects, shadow, and I could have done them at the same time, but I'm usually pretty good at lining up the shadows. If you think you might have some difficulty lining up the shadows separately, just group all of them together and then do them at one time. But I'm pretty good at it. I think that looks fine. So I actually like the way that's looking, and I'm going to now do the same thing for this box, but instead of having to do all of this portion over again, I'm going to just move this down, and I'm going to cut so that I can just have this portion here where it says Stephen and Tiana, and replace this one with that. So I'm going to go to cut out a picture, cut out a picture with a cookie cutter shape. I'm going to just go anywhere around that edge. It doesn't have to be exact because the edge is clear, so it doesn't have the white border like some of the graphics that we work with at other times. So I'm just going to hit next and done. Once it's done, I'm going to bring it to this side and just cover up the one that's already there, just like that. And now I can bring Will You Be My Groomsman back up, shrink it down a little bit because I want to try to see if I can fit a ring in there so that it will look like it's a proposal box. And I'll move this over some more just to try to make sure it's centered. Then I'm going to go to text, add text. I'm going to shrink it down so that it's the same size as the Will You Marry Me. Type it in. Will you marry me? I'm sorry. Will you be my bridesmaid? Will you be my bridesmaid? Oh my goodness. Bridesmaid. Alright, with not a question mark on this row. Alright. No, I just want the will you be my. There we go. Okay, I'm back on Earth. And I'm just going to shrink this down so that it's the same size as this Will You Marry Me. I can't get that out of my head. I'll make it the same size as this Will You Be My. Then I'm going to move it over here. I'm going to get another text box by clicking on text, add a text. I'm going to change this to bridesmaid with a question mark. Bridesmaid with a question mark. And I'm going to hit done. I'm going to bring this over to this side, shrink it down so that it's the same size as groomsmen. I think that's about it. Yes. And I'm going to bring it and drop it right here in the middle. Now, let's have that down a little more. Move it up some. Keep it centered. And now I'm going to group these. Bring it down some so that it's kind of lining up with groomsmen. And leaving me room to see if I can add a ring in the picture. And now I'm going to drop a shadow on this one by clicking it. Then I'm going to go to special effect, shadow, choose a soft one again, and once again I'm just going to eyeball it to try to line it up with the other side. So I decided that I wanted to see if it would look good with rings added in, and I tried these over on this side. I didn't like that too much, but I wanted to show you this effect that you could use on some of your other projects where you make it look as if the rings are hanging inside of the holes here. And all you'd have to do, I'll show you on this one, which will be a little more complicated. I was looking at this one and I sort of like it in that spot. I'm going to enhance this gold a bit by going to Paint and Color Effects and increasing the saturation a little bit. Not that much. And then brightening it up a little bit so it gives it more of a shine. Actually, it could be a little more. Let's see if I needed it to be a little more orange. No, I don't like that. So I'm going to cancel that, and then I'm going to go back in and just enhance the saturation a bit and brighten it. A couple of clicks. It does look a little green though. Let me see. I'm going to fine tune it this time instead of doing it on my own, and just take it a little more, try to make it kind of the color of those rings, and brighten it up a little bit. And I'm just playing around with the fine tune, That's about, looks like as close as I'm going to get with those. So now I'm going to show you how to make it look as if it's intertwined in these curves of the filigree. So I'm going to move it to the spot where I think I want to incorporate it. And so now I want this one to overlap the ring and this one to overlap the male's ring. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move it down, the ring down here, and I'm going to zoom in and cut out a piece here and cut out a piece here. So I'm going to go to cut out in picture, cut out of picture by tracing on my own, and I'm going to catch the shadow on this one and include that in the cutout. And then I can just cut anywhere in here. And then on the top edge, I want to keep that exactly on the burgundy edge or the wine colored edge. And I'm just cutting out just a small section. I'm going to click on my green arrow and it shows me the section that I'm cutting out, and I'm going to hit the yellow flag so it shows me exactly what I'm cutting out. I'm going to click done. Next I'm going to do the same thing on this thick one. I'm going to cut just a chunk out of here, so I'm going to go to cut out in picture, cut out of picture by tracing on my own, and once again I'm going to start just inside of this area, and I'm going to include the little bit of shading. It doesn't want to come with me. It's just a little bit of shading along this edge, so I'm going to try to keep that in, and I'm just going to go across and then try to stay right on the edge of the burgundy as I go back toward the flag. I'm going to click the green flag. It's showing me exactly what I'm cutting out. I'm going to click done. And now, because those two cutouts I just made are on the top layer, when I move my ring back up, it should go underneath those and give it the effect that they are intertwined. So I go up just like that, and as you can see, it gives it the effect that it's intertwined in those curves. I can, because it's covering the ring here and covering the ring here, and I can shrink it down some because I made those areas wide enough where I could have some space to adjust a little bit. And now it looks like the rings are intertwined inside of the filigree. So I might not leave it like this, but I thought this was a good time to show you that effect when you want to give things, make them look like they're hanging on, like if you were doing keys in a keychain and you were using two different graphics to bring it together to make it look like keys were on the keychain. This is how you would do it. And I kind of like that on this one. This one I wasn't so crazy about, but I kind of like it intertwined here. I just don't like it that big, so I'm going to see how small I can get it without having to recut the pieces, because I don't want to recut. So it looks like that's, I'm going to twist it a little. That might give me a little more room to shrink. Yeah. Move it up a little bit. Now that's not bad. I think I'll go with that, but now to make it look like it's three-dimensional, I'm going to add a shadow to the ring. So I'm going to go, click on the ring, I'm going to go to Special Effects, Shadow, and I'm just going to drag the shadow out a little bit in the same direction that I did for the lettering. I drag the shadow to the bottom right, so I'm going to do that here. Then I'm going to go in and customize the shadow because I want it a little softer, so that it'll look like it's just floating on those ribbons of the burgundy, the filigree. And I'm just going to eyeball this until it looks a little fuzzy. If I need to bring it out some more, I'll do that so it will give it the three-dimensional effect. And I'm not quite completely pleased with that effect yet. I want it to be a little more pronounced. Let's see. I think that looks better. And now I'm going to just lighten it up again a little bit with transparency and hit done. So I kind of like that now. I'm going to test it out, print it out, make the box, and see what Tiana thinks of it. Tiana and Steven. Alright, so I will see you once I get all of these cut out and ready to assemble the box. Now to set up the pieces that you'll need to cut out, we'll start with the top. So I'm going to go to File, Open, and we're going to go with this one. This is the one that we're going to be making today. So I will need to resize this, and I'm just going to hide the other one for now, but I'm going to resize this so that it's filling up as much of the page as possible without going beyond the borders. So I need to shrink it down a little bit. I'm going to zoom out because I want this as close to the edges as I can get it. Because this piece is going to be cut out for the top. So you'll make this master copy for the top. And then the next piece you'll need is a solid silver. So I'm going to go to Cutout and Picture, add a colored shape, hit Done. And this one is going to be for the sides of the box. So you'll need to make 4 sides of these. And I'm just going to go to Paint and Color Effect, fill with the gradient, choose the silver, drag it down, click on the one that makes the rays, and hit Done. And now you'll save this one as a JPEG. All the things we're doing now, you're going to save these as JPEGs. And I'll show you how to do that in case you didn't remember in just a second. And last, we need the top, the parts that will go around the sides of the box top. So these will be the sides of the box top, and they're going to be solid silver. So I'm going to go here. I have this same one already made right here for the sides, and I'm just going to drag that box up to this page that I'm on now, and I'm going to resize it to approximately the same as I did the others. And I'll give you the measurements when I show you the cutouts for the foam core board. Okay, so now all I need for this is a square or a rectangle for the sides. So I'm just going to cut a piece out of here that we'll be using to make the sides of the box top. So I'm going to go to Cut Out a Picture, cut out a picture with a cookie cutter shape, and I'm just going to this one I'm not measuring because I want it to wrap around the box top sides, and you'll see how I do that when I start to assemble it. So I'm just going to go with a piece about that size. So I'm going to hit next, and I want to keep this on the same page, so I'm going to take the check mark from put your cutout in its own picture, because I want to keep it on this page. So I'm going to click Done. Then I'm going to get rid of this big box. I'm going to move this up, and I need to make 4 of these. So I'm going to hit Copy, paste, 2, 3, 4. And now I have all 3 of them, as you can see, all 4 now, but you see the 3 are a little smaller. And that's one thing I dislike about this app. Instead of making the copy the same size as this one, sometimes it'll make them smaller or bigger. So all I do if that happens is I group them all, close my puzzle piece, move it up, and just resize it myself. And now I'm going to separate those and put them all in a row so that I can make them to cut out. And these will be cut out, since they're all just straight edges. I cut these out on my regular paper cutter with the arm that chops off the paper. So these won't be done in Cricut, because this one could be done in Cricut because they are within the parameter of 6.75 and 9.25. So you could actually cut these out using Cricut, but I just cut them all. I'm just going to cut them all using my paper cutter. So now we have all of the pages we're going to need, all of the pages we'll need to print. So you're going to save these as a JPEG, you're going to go to File, Save As, click on where it says Pictured Format. You're going to click on the arrow right next to Picture It, and then click down on this arrow in the menu, and you will see in the list JPEG File Interchange Format. Once it changes to that, switch to whichever folder you want to change it to, give it a name, and I'm going to put box top, make it box top 1, and then the other one I'll go ahead and hit save, and then the next one, which is the top of the box, I'll do the same thing, File, Save As, and change it from pictured format by clicking on this down arrow. Scroll down until you see JPEG. Click JPEG, give it a name, and I'll just, since I already made one that I'm calling box top 1, I'll just make this box top 2. Click save. And last but not least, I need to save my silver square, which is the sides of the box, which will be the sides of the box. Okay, I'm going to go Save As. Click on Pictured, next to Pictured Format on the down arrow. Scroll down till you see JPEG. And this one I have named as Proposal Box 2. So I'm just going to click Save. It says I already had one. Name that because I'd already saved this as already, so I'm just going to click yes, but you would just click to save and it would save it on yours. Okay, so now we're ready to cut out our pieces and cut out our foam core and get ready to make our box. Here are the measurements for the proposal box that I'll be making tonight. I printed all of the color pieces on photo paper so that it would have a nice shine. Here is the completed box shown with the lid closed and also with the items inside. Now at the time of the wedding, if this is the box she chooses or whichever box I end up making, these will be labeled with the name of her and her fiance. So right now I was just giving an idea of how it looks with the items inside. I will be making up the assembly video separately. I had intended to add it to this one, but the camera angles when I was shooting were off, so I'm going to have to redo that one. But check back shortly to see the assembly of the proposal box. Thank you again for stopping by Harriet's Custom Computer Art Plus. I'll see you next time.